Hey, what's going on? Bryce McNabb with McNabb Storytelling. Today, we're talking about a special piece of glass. We're gonna review the Olympus 12-40 f2.8. I believe this guy is the absolute best lens for documentary filmmaking on the Micro Four Thirds system. If you're looking at this lens, you're most likely comparing it to the Panasonic 12-35 f2.8. And really, the big differentiator and the reason why you might want to buy the Panasonic is you think you need the image stabilization on the lens. If that's super important for you, if you really, really need the image stabilization on the lens, then yeah, go buy that lens, because optically, I don't really feel like there's much of a difference between the two. As far as image quality goes, it has a very neutral character to it. Nothing really stands out about it. It never calls attention to itself. It doesn't distort crazy at the wides, and it doesn't distort crazy at the telephoto. I never look at the footage that I'm getting from this lens and think to myself, gosh, I'm really upset that I bought this thing. It just really just sort of fades away into the background and never draws attention to itself. So everything from the colors, the flaring, the contrast, the bokeh, it's all just sort of neutral. It just hits that sweet spot where it's like, yeah, this is good. The images are good. The great thing about it is it gives you 12-40. So that's an equivalent of 24 millimeters all the way up to 80 millimeters, as opposed to the Panasonic, which is 12-35. Now, 5 millimeters of difference may not sound like a big deal, but you have to understand that on a Micro Four Thirds sensor, that's about a 2x crop, okay? So that 5 really turns into 10. So you're expanding from 70 up to 80. You're just about at that ideal portrait length of 85 millimeters, right? Which is perfect. So you're hitting all of the necessary focal lengths for filming scenery and people. You've got 24, 28, 35, 50, 70, and 80. And coupled with the X-Tele mode on the GH5, I'm able to punch in even more. I think at least 2x without loss of resolution. So I think it takes me from an 80 equivalent up to a 160 millimeter equivalent, if I'm not mistaken. So that is just pretty awesome. Basically, I've got all the focal lengths covered that I would ever need just with one lens. Yeah, it's pretty dope. There's certain scenarios where I wish it was a little wider. I'm a type of person where I enjoy 20 millimeters. Sometimes I feel like 24 is a little bit limiting. So, you know, it's a personal preference thing, but, you know, just a general all-arounder, this lens is flippin' awesome. And then it's weather sealed, which is nice because it pairs well with the GH5. We were shooting essentially in clouds on top of a mountain in our last shoot, and I wasn't worried at all because I knew the lens was weather sealed and it was going to perform fine and not get messed up because of the added moisture in the air. But the ultimate reason why I believe this lens is superior to the Panasonic is the fact that focus by wire. Oh my God. I hate focus by wire. So let's explain focus by wire and linear focus. A linear focus lens is essentially what you think of when you think of a manual focus lens. So you see it's got a focus scale, right? And basically the numbers always stay where they're at and the focus moves based upon where I'm moving it. It doesn't matter how fast I focus pull. What matters is the distance and the position of the ring, the focus ring on the lens barrel, okay? Now, that is not what focus by wire is. Focus by wire is driven electronically, and it is determined by how fast you are pulling focus. So if you pull focus very quickly, the focus changes dramatically in distance. If you focus pull very small, it will now take a long time to focus between a very short distance. So it doesn't matter where your focus ring is on the body because it's not determined by the distance of your focus ring on the lens barrel. This makes it near impossible to capture critical focus. And what I love about this lens is how you can switch from autofocus or a focus by wire scenario to linear focus pull. You basically just pull the focus ring back and you hear that click. And now we're in linear focus, where it has a hard stop at close focus distance as well as infinity. Now this is the one thing that I'm slightly annoyed by this lens. And I didn't realize this until after a shoot when I filmed Plague on the Practice. And what happened was we were driving through Mooresville, and I was trying to film my dad driving down the road so I could film him on his arrival into work. And so what I did is I just pulled the lens back, threw it into an infinity focus, and filmed him from there. What I noticed was that because you've got the dual lens systems, the back focus is going to be different depending on your different cameras, right? And because it's got a different back focus, the hard stop at infinity is actually past infinity. So you're focusing past the farthest point you should focus, which means that everything starts to become blurred. Nothing is in focus at that point. So I learned that I have to be really careful and put the red line like legit in the middle of the figure 8 pattern, and that gives me accurate infinity focus on this lens. So that is a downside. The plus side though is that this has a really close focus distance. So I can get as close as just under 8 inches with this lens, which is fantastic. I mean, it basically makes it a macro lens. I've worked with certain lenses before where their closest focus distance was a meter. A meter! I had to stand back over 3 feet from whatever I was filming. That's really frustrating if you're trying to like move around and you can see the shot and you know that you can get it, but the focus just won't let you get it, right? You have to stand a specific distance away. With this distance, I see a detail, I see an object, I can get right up on that thing and grab the shot. So definitely, if you're using a Micro Four Thirds system and you're filming documentaries like I do, pick this lens up because you will not be disappointed and you will not regret choosing it over the Panasonic. So I hope this was helpful. Let me know in the comments if you have any questions or what your favorite lens is, and I will see you in the next video. Take care.